I'm going to take a few minutes today to talk about the customer journey because it can be pretty confusing. All it is every step that your company has to take to get the customer to their goal, and every step the customer has to take on their end to get to their goal, and combining those two things. So, what I like to do is have a couple workshops with the CSMs because they tend to know the customer really well. They tend to know these steps, depending on what stage you're at with your company. But if you have CSMs, this is the best way to do it. So, have a workshop, and you can either use Miro for this, or if you're in person, you can use a whiteboard and post it notes. But you start with your version of the customer journey, your company's version, because you know that best. So you're going to take the sticky notes and you're going to work for 15 minutes and just have people write down steps that they can think of that get taken between when the customer signs and when they reach their desired outcome, because that's going to be freshest in your mind. You're really involved with that. So just have your CSM sit for about 15 minutes and write on their own what are all the steps they take to get the customer to their desired outcome. And this can include things like the kickoff calls, success plans, training, regular check-ins with them, what they're discussing on those check-ins, anything like that. And it will also include things like working in a CRM, working in a CS tool, any and all of those things, just whatever they can get down in 15 minutes. And then you're going to bring your post-its up to the whiteboard or virtual board and just divide it into the customer life cycle, which is just onboarding, adoption, expansion, renewal, advocacy. And this is all going to be from onboarding through adoption. And the only reason for that is because you're not going to get the good stuff you want, the expansion, the renewal, the advocacy, unless you get your customer to that goal achievement. So we're focusing on that first within onboarding and adoption. Have every step that your company takes, group them together, see if there are things that everybody put. There probably will be. The reason you're doing this separately is to see if there's anybody who has a really cool idea that maybe everybody could be doing. You're going to group those together. You'll brainstorm a little bit and say, is there anything we're missing? Are there any gaps here? This doesn't have to be perfect. I cannot emphasize this enough. It won't be perfect. It's a start. You're going to iterate on this a lot, but it's the first real step. So you're going to do that, and that's a workshop. The next workshop will be, what is every step the customer has to take internally to get from we just signed the contract to we got what we wanted out of it. And that can be a little bit trickier, but you need to think about what are those moments for them that they're really looking for. What are the moments like the first aha moment? What does that usually look like? What is that first value? What are their KPIs that they're looking for? What is the first initial sign that things are moving in the right direction? You're also going to have to include things about change management. That's something a lot of people forget about, that people in their company are going to have to get buy-in and get people to start using this product and make it part of their day. That can be a challenge. So you have to know what that is, when it is, and how you can facilitate it on your end. So again, 15 minutes writing those things down, bring them up in another color of Post-its, put them on the board. Looking at that, you'll be able to fill in some gaps because you see something that you're doing on your side and you'll see the corresponding activity that should happen on their side. Or you'll be seeing something like that change management aspect and saying, we don't necessarily have something for that. So we will need to add that. So once you have those steps pretty well in hand and you know what it takes to get your customer from where they started, signing your contract, to their desired outcome or goal, that is really the first important part of the customer journey done. From there, you do something similar with the rest of the customer journey. And here's where it gets good for your company. So then you're going to want to do that for what are all the things that have to happen on their end to want to expand? Why would they want to do that? What has to happen for that to be a no brainer? What are generally the steps it takes for them to want to submit a quote for the website or rate you on G2 or refer people over? So you're going to want to fill all those things in. The last thing that I like to do for the entire customer journey is risks. especially in the first part of the customer journey, you want to look for those risks and opportunity points. So, where are the times where they tend to fall off, where customers either ghost or they don't quite get it? Do people not sign up for the training? Did they not use the product as much as you thought? You know where there are problems where people tend to trip up. Just put an extra sticky note. Those are areas to keep an eye on and to start strategizing about, okay, we need to keep an eye out for this. And what do we do when it happens? And it could be as simple as just sending them an email nudge to say, hey, we noticed you've gotten off track here. In order to get X desire you want, let's move you back on track and complete this action. The last thing you want to look for is those success milestones, those aha moments, the first value, the achievement. Those are all opportunities for you. They're times when a customer is going to want to say good things about your product and your company. And you want to leverage that and say, hey, what you said was just great. Can I use that as a quote for the website or anybody else who would like the same benefit? There are lots of things you can do for advocacy. And I have another article on that in here. Once you have that customer journey, it puts everything else on rails. Once you can see everything that has to happen, that's almost created the playbooks for you. All it takes then is writing them out and getting the resources that you need to add there. Makes the rest of your job as a CS leader easier because in order to bring your customers to success, the customer journey map is just how to get there. It's just the instructions for what we do. The last thing I wanted to mention is you will have maybe different verticals, different segments of customers, different use cases, especially with different use cases. You don't only do one customer journey. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but if I'm trying to get from A to B, all the steps that are needed, those are going to be different than if I'm trying to get from A to C. And people will use your product in different ways, even if they're using the same functionality. The idea of what they're trying to achieve and how they're going to do it, how often they're going to use it, what features, those are going to differ based on where they're trying to go with it. But don't be overwhelmed in terms of where to start. It's a no brainer. Just pick the one that drives the most revenue for your company. And maybe that's a handful of enterprise clients, or maybe that's a large swath of SMBs, but they're all trying to get the same result. Either way, just segment your customers a little bit. Look at where are our numbers coming from, whether it's industries or use case. Identify which of those is driving the most revenue and start with that customer journey. And then you can come back and do the others. You will notice things along the way that make you say, oh, we're missing a step or we did this wrong. This wasn't the right thing. Great. Iterate, change it. But it's so important to get these started and get them out there. Do not wait until they're perfect because you're not serving your customers while you're perfecting them. You're just leaving them drifting in the wind. The other thing is, to me, the glaringly obvious thing that's missing from this is talking to your customers and asking them, yes, do that. The issue there is a lot of people use that as not an excuse, but a reason to put this off because it can be tricky identifying who to talk to, what to ask them. Just do it as a natural part of your reviews with customers. When, if you have successful customers, talk to them about, hey, what was adoption like for you internally? You're a really great example. And we'd like to be able to tell our other customers, like, hey, here's what great adoption looks like. So we know what we do, but it's great to know what you do internally and just write those down. And over time, that will influence your customer success map, customer journey map. Anyway, that's quite enough for me today. There's plenty more in the article, if you can believe it. And that is, I'll let you take it from there. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this and want me to do more things like this, more video, just also comment that as well. I'd love to know. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.